Okay, so I'm going to edit this image from my last workshop. I'm just going to develop in Lightroom. Yeah, right now I'm in Lightroom. The image to me looks quite yellow. My Kelvin was 4800. Usually my Kelvin temperature is around 5800, but I was warned by Z. She mentioned about her LED panel tends to the temperature of her LED panel is a little bit warm. I dropped my white balance to 4800, but it still looks very yellow. I didn't notice on my LCD screen, but it doesn't matter. You can fix that in Lightroom. So first thing first, I'll just do the temperature here. Slide to the left until you see the yellowness goes away a little bit. Because the backdrop itself has a blue and green, a blue purplish tint to it, so the actual color of the background should be blue. And tint, just slide to the left a tad. And also, again, another thing about the lighting in this studio is not as strong as how I would have in my studio. So the exposure, to me, the exposure is okay, but not as contrasty as I would have liked. So I'm gonna just bring the exposure up a little bit, and contrast just bring to the left. Sorry, bring to the right a tad. I'm seeing some highlights here, those hot spots. So I'm just gonna bring down the highlights. Shadows, I want it stronger, so slide it to the left. Whites to the left. Blacks to the left, so it's more contrasty. Still, she looks pretty yellow. Let's slide to 3700. Vibrance, just +4. Saturation +2. And leave everything the way it is. Okay, RGB, I want the mid-tone to pop a little bit. And here, this guy here, just drop down a little bit so that it's contrasty. And this little tail in the dark, move it up, gives a little bit that hazy look. Mid-tone. Okay, right now the highlight is, well, I mean, her skin tone is still very yellow. She's an Asian, she's yellow, she has a little bit jaundice, that's okay. But I can fix that in saturation here in HSL. Orange, red, and yellow, these three things are for the skin tone. So I'm just going to drop down the yellow and the orange and saturation of the red. These don't go all the way to the left, otherwise she will be grey. Just by a tad. About 10. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Luminance is a skin tone as well. For these three things will be reflecting her skin brightness. So if you think her skin is dark, let's move to the right. She doesn't have much red on her skin. What it does is it just affects the fabric. So I'm just leave it to 0. Orange, let's see, yeah, changes a little bit, isn't it? Slide to the right. Yellow, slide to the right. Don't go all the way to the right, otherwise, look, she's overexposed. Just a little bit. Okay. Highlights. The highlights usually is on her skin again. So in this particular image, I don't want any yellow in the highlights. It's more of a purple, blue purple tone image. So in the highlights, I'm just adding a tint of purple or blue. I think blue works well. Just a tint of blue in there. Shadows. Shadow is adding a tint of color into your shadows, obviously. So in this particular image, you could add the blue or add the purple, or just slide it around to see which one is to your taste. Well, I think that either the purple or between the purple and the blue would look good. Definitely not the red. I think here looks good. I'm happy with that. Saturation is if you slide to the right, it's obviously more saturated, but that's not what I'm after. Okay. Sharpening, usually around 60 to 70, radius 1.4. These numbers don't really change much to me. Noise reduction, I had ISO 320. So there's not much noise. I'm just gonna leave it around 15 and everything stays. And that should be it. Yeah, this vignette, it doesn't apply to my image. You can, if you want to add vignette to an image, the midpoint always, usually 80% of my work is all the way to the left, roundness all the way to the right, feather to the right, and just adding a little bit, a tad of vignette to your corners. That should be fine. Okay, I think I can leave as it is, but I want some purple to pop. In purple here, in saturation, magenta or purple, let's see what happens. See how the flowers have popped a little bit? And let's see the blue as well. Yeah, now the blue pops as well. These blue flowers. Good. Hue, unless you want to change the hue of any colors. Purple, it does change it a little bit. If you slide to the left, it changes to the blue. I'm just gonna leave it in the middle, just +5. Magenta around 5 will be good. And the green, let's see what happens if you slide to the left. Now it's more of a yellowish green. I don't like it. Just leave it. Okay, so let's see before and after. Here it is. Before, oh, it's so yellow. Just after a little bit tweak on these little bars, have changed the image already. Okay, so I'm going to export. I'm going to export it into Photoshop. Where is it? Edit in Photoshop. Okay, here it is in Photoshop. There's not much I need to tweak for this particular image in Photoshop. That's why I'm always emphasizing the importance of perfect your image in your camera rather than counting on post-production. It saves a lot of time, and also it just gives it just improve your skill, obviously. Okay, So the more you perfect in your camera, the less time you would spend in front of your computer. Let's duplicate a layer by Command J. I always work on duplicated layer. L for lasso tool. I just want to remove my foot. Using the lasso tool to pick my foot. Shift delete content aware fill. Command D, it's gone. Then I want to resize to 5:7 ratio. That's the ratio I print for my clients, and it's just the habit of changing all the images into 5:7, even if this is just a model digital copy. So yeah, I'm happy with this composition. Now I need to do some minor liquify. Just go to liquify to shape the bundle. That swaddle here. Although I have mentioned don't drive yourself nuts with the shape of your swaddle, doesn't mean that you could just do a random swaddle. What I mean about don't drive yourself crazy is see these little bumps, that little thingies sticking out a little bit. These are all fixable. However, if your shape is crooked or doesn't look like a ball, anywhere near a ball, or not anywhere being perfect, it's really hard to liquify. Anyways, and also this internal round shape or whatever it's called, the fabric, I wanted to liquify just a tad as well. Okay, here we go. Happy with that. Now skin retouch. First thing first, I need to remove those skin flakes. Content, what's it called? This little thingy is, I forgot. Saying in Chinese. This band-aid, whatever it's called, my brain shuts down after a long day of work. So just excuse me. I will come back to it if it came to my mind. Okay, work on these skin flakes and those fluffs. Don't get bored. She has a perfect skin, not a lot to work on. Okay, so done. Now I use actions, so I use LSP, lemon sky, I don't know what P is, LSP actions, and I also use totally red, totally red, yeah. At this point of time, I'm showcasing how to use the LSP actions. You could use any of those actions that I mentioned. Also, Kelly Brown has her own actions as well. I started with Kelly Brown's actions, but I found it's not enough for me down the track. Then I upgraded to LSP. It's fantastic. I love it. Saves me a lot of time. So, where am I? LSP. There is a action called smooth skin. Where is it? Let me bring to the not the button mode, the other mode, this GTG, sorry. I was meant to be in LSP. Here it is. I don't usually use this laptop to do retouch, so I was a bit lost. Okay, so Newborn Skin Perfecto, that's the one I'm after. Play. Okay, what it does is it generates a whole bunch of layers, but it doesn't change your image at all at this time, unless you use a white brush, B for brush, white brush to about 70%. I'm working from the last layer backwards. The last layer is called soft skin base, portrait skin base. So I'm using this white brush just to brush the skin and go too crazy to the edges. That's it. Okay. Softer skin, I don't really touch it. Blotchy skin, just the forehead. You can see some red patches. It's kind of blend in a little bit, but however you can still see the redness in there. That's okay. And then skin retexture. That's gonna bring back the skin's texture. Let's have a look. So if I switch on and off, you'll see before it was like that, after it has some texture to the skin. Detail pop is for those skin, facial features like eyes, and bring down the opacity just to brush the nostrils and the lips, even those eyebrows. Contrast and toner, milky bright, these I don't really touch much. Let's see milky bright. Bring down the opacity to about 15%. Here it's just a little bit dark. It's kind of like dodge and burn. Just want to reinforce the highlights. Okay, then in between skin retexture and softer skin, I create a new layer using a brush of 3%. I want to brush on her forehead because you can see there's a little bit patches. You just pick a color from the mid-tone, not from the red tone there, from her skin tone. Just paint onto her forehead, wherever you need to blend in the tone. That's it. Let's see before and after. Very subtle. See how here changes just a little bit. That's it. Merge all the layers. Flatten the image. Okay. I'm thinking the next step would be removing some of the redness on her skin, especially around the eyes. Let's go to reduce the reds, hit play. Still from LSP, opacity of 50%. Just brush around the eyes and the forehead here. Here we go. Good. reduce Bye Bye Jaundice. Hit play. She is a little bit, sorry, uncontrollable feature. Yep, before and after. Good. I'm happy with that. Then merge. Zoom in. Let's see. Her lips to me look a little bit purple. I think there's an action called rosy pink cheek lips. Let's hit play. I don't usually change the lips color, but this particular baby, she's somehow her lips look quite purple and grey. I'm just going to add a tint of rosy pink in there. Too much. Let's drop it to 20, around 20%. I want to see what it does to her cheeks if I brush on some blush. Let's see if I like it or not. No, I don't like it. And remove it with a black brush. Okay, merge. That's about it. Sometimes, not all the pictures, sometimes I would apply a color from the midtone, usually from the background. Just pick a color, go to gradient, radial, reverse, increase it, gives a little bit hazy look. Sorry. Black brush, brush off the baby. And I don't want to put on those dark corners. I can leave it just a little bit there, 30%. I don't mind having a little bit there. And I want to remove part from that corner there. Otherwise there was no point adding vignette. There we go. Before, after. It's just personal preference. Okay, merge. You can finish here, or you could also, well, retouch never ends. I just want to perfect it a little bit more. Add a dark curve. Drop down the midtone in layers. Black mask. Beauty brush. Brush it onto the corner here. Alright, once it's finished, just brush off from the baby. I want to affect onto baby's skin. Before and after. Merge. That's done. Let's see before Photoshop, after Photoshop. Not a lot. But if you compare with the very first log, 0017, see, if you compare the very beginning of this particular image to the raw file, came from a long way. Here we go. So yellow. And now. Okay, thanks for watching, and thanks again joining us with Z and Rochelle for this amazing once a month online workshop. And I hope to see you again next time.